threatening, taking on 1v1.
So for the second straight match, 4 freshmen on that back line for the Tigers as Elle Bissinger makes her second straight start with Mackenzie Duff still unavailable. Let's love the game, shall we? From Clemson, South Carolina, the Tigers wearing white on their home field. Wake Forest, number 17 in the country, wearing black. There's Lyles, player Lori just mentioned. You're going to watch number 10 in the middle, helping to connect things and get it to this player up top, Juju Harris. Leading goal scorer for the Tigers, 5 goals, 6 assists for the freshman on the season.
Well, that's one thing that we heard from Eddie Radwanski, head coach of Clemson, that they need to keep possession, but they also need to keep possession so they can be threatening higher up the field, find Juju Harris as often as possible so she can bring others into the game when she holds up the ball.
Reese Klein had taken the throw. Roof chasing it back, keeping possession for the Tigers, gets it back right around the Tiger paw in the middle. Castenfeld has been a real spark offensively this season for Clemson. As has Jolie Jenkins. Freshman has done a nice job coming up from that spot at her left outside back position. A couple of assists on the season for Jenkins. Final home game of the season for Clemson. The Tigers are in a stretch where 4 of 5 are on the road to close out the season. So they're home tonight and then 2 more away from home after this one, putting an even larger premium on getting points tonight. Although, to be fair, the Tigers coming off back-to-back wins, both of those away from home. This one touched central, cleared away by Wake Forest, who's having to defend early here.
Really good start for Clemson early on. Roof has been the one in the midfield, just been the catalyst. Is exactly when I say that, she's the one that gives it away, but then regains possession. She's really been the one already with a lot of touches, just moving the ball side to side. Exactly what Clemson want, to put this Wake Forest team back on their heels and have to defend early on in this game.
Tony DeLue's 29th season leading the Demon Deacons, and has been so impressed with what this group has done for him this season. He does have a number of freshmen in key roles, as we've talked about. Flanagan, Maxwell, the two who we highlighted, who you will certainly notice once the Demon Deacons get up into their attack. But he said this is a group that is hungry and determined to keep the level that they earned last year, which was simply the best season in school history, making it all the way to the NCAA final.
You'd love to hear that, because that was one of the things I was interested in coming into this season, is just what the makeup of this team was going to look like. But he spoke about a lot of the veteran players stepping up, even if they didn't play a ton of minutes in years past, playing the part that they need to continue the culture of what they built last year, a team that went all the way to the final. But with the amount of players that they lost last season to the pro game, to graduation, just a lot of question marks on what this makeup of this team was going to look like, and they have been exceptional. Only 2 losses so far in the season, but really just expansive possession style soccer and really defensively sound.
Just 3 starters back from that championship game a year ago for Wake Forest. So when you talk turnover, that is exactly what we are mentioning. This is one of them on the outside. Sierra Seif, fantastic, whether she's on the right or the left, provides such a weapon in the attack for Wake Forest. This is Weeman, the junior who did not play her first 2 years, and this is just her 4th career appearance, 2nd career start. Seif keeping it in possession for Wake.
Well, Jenkins and Brooks for Clemson on this left-hand side are going to have their hands full all night long with Seif getting forward, but then also how they deal with Maxwell as well. When Maxwell cuts inside, Seif goes to...
Oh, that's a good ball. Maddie Holgerson had to come out and be aggressive, because Wake Forest looking threatening on their first foray into the attacking third.
Well, just as I was saying, this is the area that Clemson's going to have to be mindful of, because it's early balls like this. Love that idea. Just driven across on the ground, not floated in. Makes it difficult for Holgerson to decide if she's going to come off her line or allow her defenders to deal with it. Times it well, smothers it, makes a good save early on for Clemson. But it's that left-hand side for Clemson, right-hand side for Wake Forest to keep an eye on. who wins that battle, because a lot of the play for Wake Forest comes down that right-hand side between Scythe and Maxwell.
Here we find ourselves again. Scythe trying to lead Maxwell, but those two not on the same page. Eddie Radwanski talking about making sure this young team of his doesn't put too much pressure on themselves and are having fun, even as they get into this part of the season where they know they need wins. Clemson's record 5-4-5 at the moment. You have to be above 500 for NCAA consideration. And the Tigers, just 3 games remaining, including tonight. Tied for 11th in the ACC in terms of points on 8 points. Have to get top 6 to make it to the ACC tournament, but of course you very much can still make the NCAA tournament even without making the conference tournament the way that the ACC has things set up, and as tough as this conference is. Lori, it felt like Clemson got out on the front foot first couple minutes of this match. We're keeping the ball in their attacking half, and Wake Forest just patiently absorbing that and now working their way into the game.
And that's exactly what Wake Forest will be looking for. Is they've been steady defensively, but this is a possession-based team. They want to be on the ball. They want to be in expansive shape. There's a good switch of point of attack that allows them now to go 2v1.
Maxwell, talented freshman who Tony DeLuz says has not been phased since day one. She has come out and had a target on her back as one of the leaders in this Wake Forest attack, and she has continued to produce.
Now, this speaks to exactly what we were talking about, a possession-based team that wants to get expansive, and what that does, if they switch to play immediately, you can free up Maxwell on this right-hand side.
Ball still in play. That was Chloe Burst trying to go after it. It'll be another deep throw for the Demon Deacons.
And really that's where Maxwell wants to be, is taking on 1v1 with a little bit of space to get some momentum when the ball is at her feet.
Alex Wood, her second straight start. She's been coming back from injury. Senior number 16 for the Deeks, playing that number 10 attacking midfield spot. And this does trickle over the end line for Wake Forest's first corner kick of the match. Addie Holgerson started every match in goal for the Tigers. Eddie Radwanski using 2 keepers. She gets the start. Reason usually comes on in the second half. Deeks looking for something off the corner, and it is too high, up and over the crossbar in the end.
Oh, decent service just to that back post. But this is the confidence that we've seen from Wake Forest, not afraid to take players on. The easier option would have been just to lay that off where they had a few players, but instead gives them a clear opportunity to try to get something on it. It's Miller that made the run, freed herself up right inside the 6-yard box.
And that's something Tony DeLuz wanted, right? He wanted to see Brooke Miller, a senior for this Demon Deacon team, but new to the program, transferred from Portland where she spent 3 years. She's been at right back. She's at left back now, which allows Scythe to be on the right. And he wants both of his outside backs getting up into the attack when they can. Lyles on it for Clemson. Looks to lead on this near side. Natalie Brooks trying to make something of it, and does. Tigers will get their first chance from the corner.
I like this attack from Clemson, and it all starts with Lyles. And this is a player that you and I have seen throughout her career really be the instigator in the midfield, and has dealt with some personal stuff, but also injuries, but now really starting to come back into her own.
We've seen the Tigers look very dangerous on set pieces throughout this season. The offside flag is going to cut this play short.
Was Castenfeld just trying to keep herself on side. But this is what you're always looking for, especially in that second phase of set pieces. Clear offside there. In that picture, you can see Castenfeld, everybody, and credit to Wake Forest, do a really good job of making sure they step up as a unit. And that's what you want if you're Eddie Radwanski, is players just looking to see if they can get beyond, especially when that ball's put back off the second phase of set pieces.
Clemson back on it now. You got a glimpse of Victoria Amaral in goal for the Demon Deacons. Redshirt sophomore starter last season as well. Best goals against average in program history in that historic season. And the offside flag up again. The Wake defense doing a good job of keeping Clemson on its toes. Another big match going on in the ACC right now. Stanford down in Tallahassee taking on Florida State, and the Cardinal through Kitahara getting an early goal in the 6th minute there. And we're going to look at,
like, Jen, I just feel like you got to love this conference. At this point in time, anything goes. I mean, you and I saw that Notre Dame Wake Forest game last week. Exceptional.
Yeah, you'd think right now Notre Dame, who is unbeaten in the conference and overall, and #1 in the nation, it is their ACC regular season title to lose. We're going to talk a lot more about some of the top contenders in the ACC at halftime. Demon Deacons finding Maxwell in the box, and it does go out for another corner.
Well, so those runs in the box from Wake Forest that are going to be so important tonight, given the amount that they serve from the wide area. So Maxwell does well to earn this corner kick, but already well beyond that near post initially once she does serve it. So it is going to be interesting about the dynamism, the movement that they have inside the 18-yard box tonight.
Scythe puts it up in the air. Clemson wins it, wants to clear it, doesn't do so. Dempsey Brown, her shot is blocked. Demon Deacons 3-1-2 in conference play. Their only loss coming 2 games ago on the road at NC State, a game in which they conceded 2 goals within the first 10 minutes. Then coming off of that, played Louisville last week and played that game to a 1-1 draw. Louisville getting the equalizer in the 82nd minute. So Wake looking to get some positive momentum going again, especially considering prior to those 2 games, they came off probably their best performance, a 3-2 win on the road at Duke, who was then ranked in the top 10. By the way, in case you're noticing some pink around the stadium tonight, that is a Clemson initiative. And all the athletic programs this week wearing pink in honor of breast cancer awareness. Football team hosting SMU on Saturday. I wonder if these guys are just going to keep, the body paint going until Saturday. Get their most use out of it. Men's soccer too, right? They've got that going on. They can just keep reusing it. Dempsey Brown. Oh, what a nice flick there to find Scythe. Scythe puts it across. Back post and out of play, but you can see what a threat Scythe is, and what a lovely touch to set her up as well.
Well, it's a combination play on that right-hand side that they do so well, the understanding. And look at the positioning of Scythe. Keeps herself wide so she has time to be able to get her head up and deliver that service just to the far post. Well done from Clemson. They got 3 or 4 defenders around the attackers of Wake Forest. Make it predictable for themselves. The amount of balls that are served in from Wake Forest from the wide areas is exactly how you have to defend them.
Boy, that could have been deadly. That ball did not have quite enough pace on it for Wake Forest to make it all the way to the other side. You'll see both of these teams pick their moments to really bring the press, because they understand that they both want to possess and build from the back.
Well, it's from the 2 freshmen as well. We mentioned Flanagan for Wake Forest being the initiator in the press, but also Juju Harris on the other side for Clemson will be the one that really tries to stretch this game. A wonderful little flick to try to find in behind. That's a little glimpse of what Juju Harris can bring to this team. Yes, she can score goals, but it's that little bit of nuance to her game, the little flick, the pressing ability, and why she's been so important to this team. That's very much continuing to build, continuing to find their identity and learn throughout this season.
Eddie Radwanski telling us she's been frustrated because she has not scored in the last 4, and in fact, a couple games ago at Syracuse, she missed a penalty, missed a sitter from inside the 6, but then she came back and had an assist on all 3 goals in the win for the Tigers on the road at SMU last week.
And also not completely 100% fit either. Been dealing with an ankle injury, suffered early on. So just picking their moments on when to keep her in full training sessions, also when just to sit her out so she continues to rest, especially down this important stretch of the season.
Well, that's an errant touch from the veteran Dempsey Brown. Gave it away to Kastenfeld, who we know can hit it from distance. We've seen it on set pieces. Harris! Amaral had to get down in a hurry.
Well, I love the composure from Kastenfeld. She's the one that steps up initially to win this ball and looked like she was going to try to go herself right here. Just a little bit of a shimmy shake, gets her head up. I thought maybe she was going to aim for that far post. Instead, just the composure, but it does slow it down just a little bit. Juju Harris unable to get it from out underneath her feet. Allows for the defenders to come down and really kind of offset her and not get the momentum behind that shot that she would have liked.
Wood got a touch to it. Scythe cutting in. Maxwell crossing out. Maxwell into the box. Oh, nice ball. Diagonally back up top to Burst. Flanagan was the target there. Allie Flanagan. Haven't seen her as much in that shift to the number 9, the center forward position. Typically more of a winger, but Tony DeLuise trying that last game, and Flanagan coming up with the Demon Deacons' only goal. Brown. Have to give Weeman a lot of credit too. Her stepping in and playing well enough at that center back spot allows Dempsey Brown to go into the midfield. Maxwell, oh, had a good look at it too.
There's some of that tenacity, the maturity that DeLuise was telling us about in terms of she's not fazed by anything, immediately gets faced up and then wants one thing on her mind, to go straight to goal. Jenkins can't get tight enough, gets the shot off, but that one's always rising as she's leaning back. The body positioning just gets underneath it. Right idea, and consistently already through this first 20 minutes, you're seeing Scythe, you're seeing Maxwell get on the ball, really be threatening on this right-hand side for Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake's had a little more of it, a little more of what they want, you would feel, so far through about 20 minutes in Clemson. Tigers getting it up to their front line. And Wake, don't think that ball crossed the end line, so well done defensively. It'll be a deep throw-in instead of a corner kick for Clemson.
Well, I do like some of those runs that Lyles is making out of the midfield already for Clemson to help out with Juju Harris and be a little bit more unpredictable in the final third. Does have the license to go and create in the attack next to Harris.
Jenkins back to Broof. And now Bissinger coming up from her center back spot. Found Lyles cutting through. Brooks in the box. Wake maybe had a chance to break out there if not for that intervention. Klein coming up from the back. Remembering that it is an unbalanced schedule in the ACC. Wake Forest a game in hand, if you will, along with a couple of other teams toward the top. Virginia, Florida State, Stanford also have an extra game to play, whereas Notre Dame only has 3 remaining, including their last one this week. Clemson also only 3 remaining, including tonight. All of which is to say, they all mean a lot. All the points mean a lot, and that is a wasted opportunity there as it goes out of play. Well, we're starting to love Sundays here on ACC Network. Why? Because women's sports take it over. We're going to start at noon Eastern this Sunday. Get a chance to see number 2 Stanford. They will continue their East Coast trip, taking on Miami. Then Syracuse, number 21 North Carolina, and volleyball. Another great afternoon on the way in women's sports right here on ACCN. Tigers take it away. Wind up giving it right back, though. Amaral, all ACC 3rd team selection last year. In her first year as a starter, tore her ACL 2 years ago, and then came back and backstopped this team in that incredible season for the Demon Deacons last year, advancing to the 2nd College Cup in program history, beating Stanford in the semifinals, losing to the champions North Carolina 1-0 in the final. So much, Lori, as you pointed out, has come on this near side for Wake Forest. Now they try to go the other way. Back central. Wood lost it from Flanagan. Brooks.
Well, this is really what we expected from this game. A tight game, both teams trying to gain a little bit of possession to have more control. And Wake Forest certainly trying to find Flanagan early on, even if she's coming back to the ball, just helping link play.
The referee's going to go back and let's see if there's a foul that was earlier that maybe he had just let play on in the moment. Tigers from the paw. Deeks will play it back through Amaral. Scythe. Maxwell Jenkins, that'll be a good battle to watch, potentially for years to come in the ACC with those 2 freshmen.
Oh, both teams deep in their own half are where they're having a little bit more success trying to keep the ball, but it's once they try to add a little bit more variety higher up the field, they're just losing it unnecessarily. We've seen Broof a few different times for Clemson be able to get faced up in between the lines in a dangerous area, but then just too big of a ball or easy giveaway that gets it right back to Wake Forest, and very similar for Wake Forest. But again, going back to the point that we were saying, this is what we expected between these 2 teams. Tight game. You know, there's not a ton of scoring typically when these 2 teams meet. So it's about taking your chances, but it's also just about being clinical and smart when you do have possession to be able to break down each other defensively.
Yeah, what did Tony DeLuz tell us? He said, yeah, I expect it's going to be one of those 1-goal ACC grinded out type games. So far, it feels like it could be on that path, but it's early. And for Clemson, getting an opportunity once again against a ranked opponent tonight. The 8th ranked opponent for the Tigers in 14 games. Their schedule tied for 3rd toughest in the country. And that could really pay dividends when you talk about NCAA tournament selection. Yeah, they're only 2 wins in conference play so far, but they're at 5-4-5, and to go through what they have gone through to get to this point, you certainly have to give this young team a lot of credit.
Yeah, certainly. And I think when you listen to Eddie Radwanski and how important it is to have a tough schedule, even leading into conference play. We've heard that from a number of coaches within this conference as well, just given how difficult the ACC is. It is about setting yourself up for success. So even though you want to be able to get wins before you start conference play, because you never know how that season's going to go, you also want to be able to set yourself up in terms of understanding what opponents are going to look like. So we've heard that from a number of coaches on how important that's been and what's led to some of their team success this year.
Castenfeld. You almost feel, you mentioned the two teams both struggling a little bit in possession once they're getting into their attacking thirds, Lori. It's almost as if they're trying so hard to outthink the opponent that maybe they're overthinking things a little bit.
Well, and defensively, both of these teams are really solid, set up in a way that's difficult to break down. So that means teams aren't just going to step up and press. You really have to figure out how you're going to connect. And sometimes that means just taking shots from distance to see if you can draw out defenders a bit more, make them step up, and then you can play that final pass. Because right now for Clemson specifically, they're trying to play that final pass much sooner than there's pressure on the ball or the runs are coming to get on the end of it.
Yeah, timing not been on really for either team yet.
I know you're just working upon the ball, but that's a little, it's on the verge, right?
There's just the collision.
Yep.
Flanagan coming back. Talked about how good she was top of the press. The freshman, you know, sometimes when you're not seeing a lot of the ball, you might drop a little bit more, try to get involved defensively, help your team win it deeper in the field. Harris. Ball sent back in. The shot from Castenfeld took a fantastic save from Amaral to keep that out of the goal.
Oh, what a save that is from Amaral. Sees it late, but this is exactly what we were talking about from Castenfeld and the Clemson Tigers. When you get the opportunity, go for it. This time, instead of passing it off, she's aiming for that top corner, gets herself free. Good little tidy footwork to be able to get it onto her right foot and then aim for that far right corner. But Amaral does so well at the last second. Left hand tips it over the crossbar to keep this game 0-0. What a wonderful save that is, even when she's floating away from it, gets enough on it.
So it's a corner for Clemson. Headed back initially by Brooks. She'll try it again. What a save. I mean, what a beautiful shot and what a save.
Well, it speaks to exactly what we were saying, is take those shots from distance, because the defender's going to have to respect that, and they're going to have to get tighter. They're going to have to step out of their shape. And then if it's not on to be able to take those shots, then you can slip those little final passes in behind and maybe catch a defender who stepped too aggressively.
Seif taking her time. These two teams, if they look pretty even, they have been in their series history, especially the last 5 meetings. They've split, alternating wins. Last meeting came in the 2023 ACC tournament here at Clemson. It was a 1-0 win for the Tigers in the first round. And Mackenzie Duff, who is unavailable, we don't think, for the Tigers tonight, missed the last game, didn't start tonight, had the only goal in that match in the 2nd minute.
Well, this entire attack starts with Clemson finding Juju Harris and her just with a wonderful touch that brings the ball down and invites other players to join in. Able to switch the point of play and then just a bit too aggressive. It's the second time we've seen that from Flanagan, who has moved to this right-hand side. It shifted Maxwell to that center forward position, but been gotten caught a few different times defensively.
Free kick for the Tigers. Winds up all the way back at midfield.
I'm here.
Amaral is there and gets it off the bounce. And we'll see how that shifting of some of those attacking players maybe works out for the Demon Deacons that you mentioned. Maxwell now occupying the space where Flanagan started the match.
Oh, and Flanagan already looks much more comfortable on the right-hand side, finding a little bit more space, dropping back when she wants to, just to connect passes.
Well, here's our Week 8 ACC Network Saturday football lineup. Noon Eastern, Boston College hosting UConn. Then right here at Clemson, SMU coming to Death Valley. And we'll cap the night with Pitt and Syracuse at 7:30. All three games also available on the all-new ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. There you go, just down the road. It's going to look a lot different come Saturday. Death Valley, lights on. Not too far away from Riggs Field on the campus of Clemson University. Maria Manusos, good to see her back healthy for the Tigers. She replaces Brooks. And then Taryn Chance also in off the bench for the Tigers. No score, just over 13 minutes to play in the first half. Wake Forest Demon Deacons currently sitting in 7th in the ACC standings, a tie for 7th, and it is the top 6 who will make it to the ACC tournament. Clemson Tigers a little further down the table. They're tied for 11th with their 8 points. Chance, by the way, in case I didn't say it before, that was a sub for Wake Forest. She replaced Chloe Burst. But neither team going to their bench too much just yet. How do you think, Lori, both teams are feeling about this one so far?
I think with Clemson, you're playing at home. You've had bouts of possession that they were looking for in this game, and really the best chance of this game off the shot from Castenfeld that forced the save against Amaral. So for Clemson, be very pleased so far. And for Wake Forest, still keeping this game at zeros, but will certainly want to feel like they can clean up possession and be a little bit more ruthless in these moments right here in the attack.
Yeah, this is where they want it, at the feet of Flanagan. She loses control, goes back to Scythe. Flanagan, 5 goals on the season, including 1 in the last match in the draw against Louisville. Maxwell, her counterpart, quick on the turn, but out of bounds. Talking about those ACC standings and what is at stake for both of these teams. Of course, you know, you get to this point in October, you are talking about the postseason. So can you make it to the ACC tournament, get into the top 6 of the ACC? And then, of course, will you be in contention for the NCAA tournament? Wake Forest, no doubt, I would say at this point, as strong as their season has been, just 2 losses overall. And for Clemson, with that tough strength of schedule, if the Tigers can just stay above 500 with these 3 games remaining, home against Wake tonight, and then on the road at Boston College and Duke to finish things out. You'd think they have a pretty good shot as well with an RPI of 30 at the moment.
Well, and this game is so important for the Tigers, just to make sure they at least get something out of it and want to get a result tonight, tie or a win. Off to a really good start, and you and I were on the call just a couple games ago against Notre Dame, and up losing that game 5-1. But this team continues to improve, continues to impress us every single game with just their young roster, the injuries that they've had to deal with, the rotation in terms of what their starting lineups. But this is the most complete performance that we've seen. They're moving the ball. Renee Lyles is getting involved. Juju Harris as well. He's having a good bout of possession. That's how giving them some good control of this game.
Yeah, I would agree. It's been a pretty strong performance for the Tigers throughout the season when they've been tested, as you can tell. There's some of those ranked opponents haven't been able to break through for a win yet. Maybe that first win against top 25 team comes tonight. Staying even with the number 17 Deeks so far. Saw Hannah Johnson come on for Wake Forest. She replaces Flanagan here for the final 9 minutes of the first half, and the Deeks are going to get a corner kick to work with. Their third of the first half. Seif, 8 assists on the season for Seif. Johnson was there, 5'11", the senior, a good target. She serves it back, but not in play. Well, there is so much going on around the ACC. We're going to get you caught up with plenty of conversation, including that NCAA Top 16 reveal that came out last week. We'll get Lori's thoughts on that. Plus, we'll have highlights and stats and a look around what else is going on in the ACC tonight. Just 3 matches in the ACC happening tonight. Got a couple more tomorrow, a couple Saturday. So it's really spread out, not just those Thursday, Sunday that we sometimes see in terms of the scheduling. Stanford, Florida State, the other big one happening in the ACC in Tallahassee tonight. The Cardinal with an early goal against the Seminoles, who trying to bounce back from, Laura, you called it perhaps the most dominant half of soccer that you've seen from a college soccer team. First half against Notre Dame, but the second half was maybe one of the gutsiest performances I've seen in a comeback for a college soccer team, as the Fighting Irish came back to win and eventually claimed that #1 ranking.
Well, exceptional response from Notre Dame at home, and started that second half with much more intensity, and you could really feel the unity of the Notre Dame team in terms of wanting to get something back. It did help that they got one late in that first half to cut the lead, but then they wouldn't look back in that second half. And as you mentioned early on in this first half of this game, Jen, really that is the team now that everybody's hunting down, looking at and saying, okay, it's theirs to lose with how good they've been playing.
Tigers, Manusos to Harris. She gets that first touch a little more under control, Lori. That could have been pretty dangerous.
Well, we don't usually see her take those touches where they get away from her, but I love this attack from Clemson. But look at the amount of numbers Wake Forest get back immediately, and this is why it's been so difficult for Clemson to be able to find a ton of space, particularly through that player right there, Juju Harris. Not a ton of room to be able to bring that one down, gets away from her, but they immediately get 3-4 players back defending all at once. The amount of work they do on both sides of the ball, but now just need to start to move the ball a bit more quickly to bypass some of that first line of pressure for Clemson, see if they can open up space in behind. It's hard to have success going down the other way.
Free kick here for the Deeks. Johnson took her shot from distance. Has 2 goals, 1 assist on the season. wasn't available in the last match against Louisville. Tony DeLue saying sickness, not a great time ever to have that go through your team, but they were hit with that last week. Well, we're into one of those big 5 moments of the match. 5 minutes before or after a stoppage. And as we're the final 5 of the first half, will either of these teams do something to change the tone? Thus far, it's been pretty even. Probably the best chance for either side happened for Clemson. Big save from Amaral. Scythe has been active as usual, gets it through.
Well, that's the best sequence we've seen all game long for Wake Forest, moving it side to side, finding space in between the lines. But that's the player, Scythe, that you want in those positions, taking on. You can see how slippery she is, even if there's defenders on her. But the commitment to read those services is what has to be better from Wake Forest, because they're not going to get a ton of it against Clemson, who's been stingy defensively. So they have to flood numbers into the box to get on the end of that service from Scythe.
Yeah, that was a big point of conversation for the team leading up to this match and coming out of their Louisville match last week. Look, you're going to get the service from whoever's on the wing, whether it's Scythe in particular or if it's Maxwell Flanagan out there. So those runs have to be there. Johnson, this does stay in play. Maxwell put it in front of the goal. It's still not picked up. Finally, it's cleared away. That play looked dead a couple of times, and Clemson manages finally to get it out of danger.
Well, this is better from Wake Forest. There's a bit of a higher tempo now, and you see Maxwell really being the catalyst in the attack, the one that's just trying to get on the end of something or at least taking early shots, instigating some of that intensity that we really haven't seen. A lot of the play has just been moving it side to side. Even if they can get face forward, they opt to play back and allow for Clemson to get set defensively.
Still no shots on goal in this match for Wake Forest, 2 for the Tigers. Clemson only 2 shots, but both of them on target, whereas Wake Forest 4 shots, none of which have challenged Addie Holgerson in goal. Maxwell gets pulled down. You have to think this is advantage being played. It is, and now Wake Forest will get the free kick and likely a card on that play. Well, Maxwell asks a lot of questions of the defense, doesn't she?
Well, we've seen her already all over the field so far. There's the clear foul, arm across the midsection of the Maxwell. Card just brings her down, knows that she's already out of position and is going to be spun by Maxwell. But we see Maxwell on the right-hand side. We've seen her up top. She drops a little bit deeper. But this is exactly what Tony DeLue was talking about. Her maturity, the willingness to take players on. And right now, you feel like she is the one that is putting this team on their shoulder and saying, hey, we can play at a higher level. We can play a bit more direct. Try to put Clemson under more pressure than we've been putting them under so far in this first half.
Yeah, she's been a real instigator. She and Scythe in particular. Brooke Miller now for the Demon Deacons on the free kick. Flick toward goal. Addie Holgerson a little slow to come off her line. Got a fortuitous bounce in the end, high enough that it went over the other Demon Deacon head that was in the vicinity. A point doesn't necessarily hurt either of these teams, but especially when you consider Wake Forest with trying to get into the top 6 in the ACC and the way that they finish. They've got Pitt next, but then they host Notre Dame and go on the road to Florida State. I mean, that is some kind of final 2 matches for Wake Forest. meaning they need to try to pick up points now if they can, because it is only going to get tougher with those last 2 matches.
Well, that has to be a conversation that's being had, especially in the locker room going into the second half. Only a little over a minute to play in this first. We just need to pick up the pace. We need to start playing a little bit more direct at times, moving it side to side, but they have looked most dangerous once they get it out to Scythe or Maxwell on this right-hand side and serving balls in. But if they can move the ball a little bit quicker, then it's going to be that much more difficult for Clemson to be able to get back, get numbers, and set defensively.
Yeah, saw the flag come up. Otherwise, it had looked like a pretty nice build there for Clemson. Just didn't quite get the positioning right as Lyles is called for offside.
Well, it's not by much at all. It's actually Scythe that almost keeps her on, but again, looking straight across, making sure she stays at least in line with her teammates. They've done really well with that so far, Wake Forest. Those runs from Lyles that we talked about already in this half, been dangerous. Just one that they need to be able to free her up and get her in behind that back line of Wake Forest.
This first half is going to end scoreless between these two teams. Number 17, Wake and Clemson. No score after 45.
Good first half for both of these.
And then see what you get if you need to cut back there in a more dangerous position. So we got some good crosses in. We need to do a better job of filling the box in good spots. But what a good game. It's a really good game. Fun game to watch, and good representation of ACC soccer right here.
Yeah, it's been some nice soccer. We'll just look for some more of those dangerous plays. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thanks.
And we are underway now in the second half. Clemson wearing white, Wake Forest in black on the road from historic Riggs Field in Clemson, South Carolina. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay on the call. Victoria Amaral in goal for Wake Forest. There was a change in goal for Clemson, as we expect. Nona Reason has come on at the half. It's a move that Addie Radwanski has made a number of times throughout the season. Addie Holgerson starting, Nona Reason coming on in her place. And she could be tested here. Maxwell coming at it for Wake Forest. It's a punch away, right back in the path of Kylie Maxwell.
It looked like that first touch from Maxwell just got away from her, took her a little bit wider of the goal to cut down the angle and allow for Reason to be able to just make sure that she parried that one away. That's a good break, and this is exactly what Tony DeLuce was talking about coming into this second half, which is a lot more direct right there. It's the slightest little bit of a touch, but it takes her away, offsets her. She can't get a clean look, and it also allows for Reason to be able to make up a little bit of that ground. She just came on as that substitution in goal.
First shot on goal of the match for Wake Forest, just not even a minute into this second half. So let's give Coach DeLuce some credit for the good halftime talk.
And that was what we were talking about coming in to halftime, Jen. Just a lot of possession for Wake Forest. That's what we're typically used to seeing from them. Expansive shape, but just not enough in the way of threatening in the attack, putting Clemson under enough pressure defensively. Really let them off the hook quite a bit by just playing side to side, playing backwards a lot, just allowing them to be able to get their shape behind the ball easily.
What was intended to be a big switch for Wake Forest wound up as a turnover instead to Clemson. Juju Harris, good touch, frees it over to Tatum, short, looking for the corner off the post, follow up, blocked. We just had the two best chances of the game for each team. And the referee, stop things here, but wow, what a start to the second half.
I would imagine this game is just going to continue to open up, especially for what's on the line. Both teams do need to get a result. On one end, it's Wake Forest, and then at the very next play for the Clemson Tigers going down the other end. And it was a bit of an odd play for Short. Almost gets caught in between. If she's just trying to float this to the far post to connect with one of the attackers, Castenfeld, or go herself. Regardless, the ball comes off the crossbar and keeps it alive, but this is what Clemson's done really well, is at least flood the box with players. It's not enough on it to get past Wake Forest.
Brooks did really well there to ignite another attack for the Tigers. She gets past the defender. Had Harris in the box, couldn't quite get it there. We really didn't call Tatum Short's name very much in the first half for Clemson, who had it just a few moments ago for the Tigers. She had 2 goals, her first career brace in the 3-2 win on the road at SMU last week for the Tigers. Also hit the post in that match, so could have had a hat trick. You know, she's hungry to get going again. She was searching around, nearly got herself another one here. Be curious to see what happens if either of these two teams does get the first goal. They've both been really good, Lori, playing from behind this season. Clemson has trailed in every ACC game that they have played. And sometimes it just forces you to change things up a little bit.
Well, with the position that they're in to keep themselves at 500 or above it, they need to be the instigator in that way themselves, continue to play at a high level, more minutes to some of these younger players, more experience. So now it's on them to be that type of team that even when they're not down, they're playing as if they are, taking chances, but also just making sure that they have good positions behind the ball. Because one thing that we do know about Wake Forest is not only can they keep possession, but they can also hit you on the counter as well with Flanagan, her speed, Scythe, if she finds space higher up the field. These players, one ball over the top, they can punish you.
Kassenfeld, Short is there, defended well. Wake Forest, good positioning in the box. Reese Klein, nobody to get on the end of that service. Johnson getting the start in the second half for Wake Forest. Turned it over to the Tigers. Harris. Jenkins. Up into the gloves of Amaral. Both of these teams like to possess. Both have struggled with that here in these last couple of minutes. Bruff on it now for Clemson. Lost it. Klein. Well, Lori, while each team got themselves a really good look to start this half, it also feels a little bit like they've gone away from the game plan that we saw in much of the first half.
Well, I think both teams are trying to open up a little bit and create more in the attack. But one of the things that I do agree with Tony DeLuz is this is a great example. Is here comes Short showing her ability to get in behind, stretch the game a bit. Well done from Miller just to put herself in a really good position to not allow Short to get a better opportunity on her.
Goalkeepers called upon early here in the second half. First, it was Nona Reason. Her first touch as she came on at halftime, and then Amaral just had to be alert, ready for this one, coming right back at her. So those are the two chances we're talking about. But what I was asking you about after that, Lori, was we know both of these teams like to possess and build, and they both have struggled with that, honestly, since those two shot attempts.
Well, they've struggled with it because at times you can see how stingy both teams are defensively. They immediately drop into a compact shape. It makes it difficult. There's not a ton of space to operate, and that's why I agree with Tony DeLuce. This game really forces you to have to think in the attack, how you're going to break each team down instead of just giving balls away so easily that are picked off defensively.
That was a better build from Wake Forest. Alex Wood came back into the match just a moment ago. She helped feed it up to Maxwell, but it did eventually go out off the Demon Deacons, so goal kick for the Tigers. Clemson still looking for their first conference win at home this season. 0-2-2 in conference play at Riggs Field. This is their last chance to get that victory as they'll hit the road for their final 2 matches. They've lost their last 2, albeit to the top 2 teams in the country, Virginia and Notre Dame. And Clemson has not lost 3 in a row at home since 2018. Wake Forest, meanwhile, has not won here at Clemson since 2011. So we'll see if someone can break a streak. There was a foul whistled by Rashawn Clark on that play.
Well, it's an example of what we were just talking about, Jen. Defensively, it looks like Clemson's going to be beaten with a little bit of space for Wake Forest to be able to find in between the lines and then get this player Flanagan on the ball in an isolated position. But then a heavy little touch gets away from her. Defensively, they're in great position to win it back and then draw the foul. And it's the littlest details in this game are making it difficult for both teams to try to find good attacks to develop into.
There's some pressure being brought by Wake Forest. Harris, that's part of what she does so well. That's the hold-up play Lori mentioned earlier. Gives her teammates a chance to get in on the attack with her.
A huge touch from Weeman to intervene there defensively, because immediately, and we haven't called Harris's name a ton except for some good play in terms of bringing others in, getting the ball to her feet, and just laying it off and then gaining more territory. But that's the change of pace that she has. As soon as she lays it off, it goes wide. She's initiating that run to try to get in behind, but Weeman steps in, makes the play, and now Wake Forest is able to regain a little bit of possession.
Turned over at midfield. Lola Ressler on for the Deeks, lost it, but now Wake Forest back in possession. Miller. Looking to go right down the middle toward Maxwell. Jenkins, stride for stride with Maxwell.
Yep, good defending, but that's exactly what Wake Forest will be looking for, because they keep the possession, they allow for Miller to get higher up the field, but then one ball over the top creates a lot of havoc defensively for the Clemson Tigers. Again, it's Maxwell that's on the end of it.
Corner kick for the Demon Deacons. Their 4th of the match, 1st of the second half, and Sierra Scythe an opportunity to send one in. She does! Oh, that had goal written all over it. Just had to get it on target.
Oh, commanding header from Weeman initially. Just rises above, starts with the service, great quality, just driven into the box, allows her to get that run on it, and gets on the better side of 2 defenders near post. Just makes the run, but the commitment to get on the end of it. It's unfortunate that she can't redirect it and keep it on frame. See, meets it as she's still facing wide of the goal.
Mentioned it earlier, but bears repeating. Weeman is a junior who did not play in her first 2 seasons. Now makes her second career start, 4th appearance, and Tony DeLuce telling us he's the best shot blocker. She's the best shot blocker on the team in practice, so she's got great anticipation. You could see that there. Read the ball well, just could not put it back on target. And I just noticed, Lori, looked like substitution sees Mackenzie Duff coming on for Clemson. We weren't sure we'd see her. She didn't start this match. She did not play the last match. That could be a big boost for the Tigers in the back. Manusos also on for Clemson. Saw her in the first half. There is Duff, the graduate defender. So certainly the leader of this back line. The 4 freshmen have done pretty well so far, but
yeah,
great to have Duff available.
Yeah, any experience that they can get at this point in time, they'll be thrilled with. So whether it's on the back line or not. And we mentioned the injuries that they've had. Forced to play a lot of freshmen, and it's one of the things that I love that Eddie Radwanski said, though. You're forced to learn on the job. Gives you valuable experience.
Well, both players still down in the box. And now Rashawn Clark will go over to take a look. There's Reese Klein down for the Tigers. See if we can take another look at the collision.
It's hard to tell, but maybe gets stepped on by Flanagan. Slow to get up and seems to be in some pain, is still on the ground. But this is something that we knew to expect from Flanagan. Tracking down balls, putting the defense of the Tigers under as much pressure as possible.
Klein has started just about every match this season on the back line for Clemson in her freshman year. Well, while we have a moment, we'll tell you where the Huddle crew is headed on Saturday. They are going to Durham, be at Duke University starting at 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. Get you ready for the day of football with a 2-hour pregame show, and then they'll be filled with game previews, expert analysis, featured stories, all of that you've come to know and love on the Huddle right here on ACCN and the all-new ESPN app on Saturday. Well, as we're talking NCAA tournament implications, obviously one of the factors that you think about in those conversations is RPI. Great to see Klein back to her feet, and as she gets herself settled, to give you a look here, the ACC well represented, as you could imagine. 7 teams are ranked in the top 25 in the United Soccer Coaches poll, and here is what they look like in the RPI. Clemson, with that just 5 wins on the season, Lori, that tells you what a strong schedule they have played, coming in at 30.
Yeah, just exceptional. And with such a young group as well. We've referenced that a few different times, but players that have had to step in that maybe they didn't think were going to play as many minutes as they have had to this season, but they're doing it. They continue to progress. They continue to learn and get better every game, and exceptional work from the Clemson Tigers so far this season with such a tough schedule.
Well, Klein is going to come off for the moment anyway and bring on Maddie Costello, a freshman out of Stony Brook, New York. Has not seen as much time as many of these other freshman defenders, but her moment being called now and her number being called now with Klein headed to the bench. And so you've got 3 of your back 4 who have just changed for Clemson. That's fairly rare.
Well, it's fairly rare, but it's also a point of conversation right now for Wake Forest to say, hey, let's go after this back line. They've had to rotate, be a little bit more direct. See if they can put them under pressure. Good work on that far side from Scythe.
Miller. Felt like so much of Wake Forest's attack, Lori, in the first half came on the right side where Scythe was. Now Miller getting a little more involved.
And there's still opportunities for Miller to get even a little bit higher up the field, because if she can get beyond that first line of pressure and receive the ball behind short, then it's just going to give her that much more time to be able to take a touch, get her head up, either serve or just play make from this left-hand side.
Di Natale back to Amaral. Flanagan stays with the Demon Deacons, or does it? Now it'll go to Clemson. Harris. Wake Forest proud of where they have come this season. 9-2-3 overall, 3-1-2 in conference play, but wanting to regain some of the momentum that may have been lost in 2 games that Tony DeLuise certainly feels his team could have, maybe should have done better. Had the 2 early goals on the road and their only conference loss at NC State. Followed that up with a match he truly felt they should have won. A tough Louisville team, but they had kept Louisville off the scoreboard and led 1-0 until the 82nd minute. Didn't close that game out, pick up the 3 points.
Yeah, really felt like that second half got away from them. Lost a bit of that control. Should have gone to a little bit more of a defensive posture in terms of the formation, he felt, to be able to see that game out. But a little bit better this second half now, being a little bit more direct, getting more numbers into the attack, and this could be potentially a really dangerous free kick. Not really sure where the foul is there, and in fact, it's just a late challenge. Like it could have been played on. Well, there's the late challenge, better angle there. Takes out Maxwell right on top of the box.
And we'll see now if this does test Nona Reason in goal. What an opportunity for Wake Forest just outside the penalty area. Chance for a free kick. You've got someone like Sierra Scythe. Will the Scythe factor come into effect and make a difference here for Wake Forest? Not this time. Tuesday night, we are going to have a special conversation with North Carolina men's basketball head coach Hubert Davis. He opens up about a variety of topics and gets candid about what it means to him to carry on the legacy in Chapel Hill. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern right here on ACC Network and the all-new ESPN app. Clemson desperately needing to pick up points if they want to try to contend to get into that top 6, make it to the ACC tournament. But even if they don't, how a draw hurts them. Just puts all the more pressure on those last 2 games with a record of 5-4-5 at the moment, needing to stay above 500 to be eligible for selection to the NCAA tournament.
And very much the same for Wake Forest as well down the stretch with the challenging games that they have. Will want to get a result out of this game to at least keep their confidence high, but also alleviate a little bit of that pressure that they have.
And they do have a real shot at making the ACC tournament, as this one is shot right at Amaral. But to get into that top 6, Wake needs points.
And this game is certainly starting to open up space in the midfield. Now it's about decision making in the final third.
3 changes on the back line, one a positive one in the sense of Duff coming back into the game for Clemson. Did not start the match, makes her first appearance of the night here in the second half. Missed the entire last match for the Tigers, but is a leader back there on that defensive line for Clemson.
Well, here's a previous opportunity. Just getting her head up, looking for the moment to be able to find runners inside the box, but Emerald does really well to come out, time it, smother it.
Corner for the Deeks. Ball put right back there. Scythe can deliver it again, a little closer this time for the launch. Maxwell the target. Still bouncing around. Wilson. Somehow it gets through. Might not have been what was intended, but it works out, finding Maxwell, and now Scythe. Scythe. Miller, good spell of possession for Wake. The shot will not challenge Reason.
But I love the positioning behind the ball for Wake Forest. They make it so difficult for Clemson to be able to clear their lines with the shape behind. Miller, the left back's able to collect it, and then you can see what she's trying to do. Just put some bend on that ball, aim for that top corner. Gets too much on it, can't bend it back, keep it on frame. It's a combination play and a little bit of that control that Tony DeLuz was talking about, deception in the final third.
Stanford still up on Florida State down in Tallahassee, and Cal now has made it 2-0 over Miami. Important even more for Wake Forest to get points. Wake coming into the night with 11 points, Cal on 12, but the Bears would move up to 15 if they get that victory, and they're sitting just in front of Wake Forest in the standings. Allie Flanagan has had a little confidence slump, according to Tony DeLuz. Boy, that is a rough tackle.
Awkward, yeah, it was an awkward challenge as well, unnecessary from Clemson, especially with the position that Flanagan was in, facing away from her own attacking goal. Looks like it was a roof that comes out of the midfield, and right there, just a bit strange, and then is calling for that to be a goal kick. Regardless, sets up for an opportunity. So Maxwell get on the end of one of these.
I guess it wasn't even called a foul. It just is a corner for Wake Forest, which is a little mystifying, but Deeks will take it. That is called a foul. Costello, the freshman who came on for Klein a few moments ago, committing the infraction. These set pieces starting to mount up for Wake Forest. And this one taken out of the air. That's one good way to snuff out any sort of attack. Nona Reason had seen enough.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that Nona Reason was initially trying to tell her team to calm down initially after that play and giving up a number of set pieces, but then immediately goes long to see if they can start something and attack quickly. But that's the right message for her team, though, because we've seen Costello that's come in, giving up a few free kicks. Like the aggression from the young player, but no need in those moments to put your team under pressure and have to defend.
Harris has it for Clemson. Juju has it saved. Amaral, not done yet. Bounces out of play. Clemson will take the corner.
Well, one of the things that makes her so exceptional, Juju Harris, is at times it seems like she's so quiet, not involved in the play, and in the next moment, she's immediately attracting 3 or 4 defenders, putting Wake Forest under pressure. Gets a good shot off, earns a corner kick, and you feel like all of a sudden now the momentum's a shift in the way of the Clemson Tigers.
Renee Lyles puts it in play. And that should be a Wake Forest ball. Keeping an eye on the ACC standings, of course, as we head down the stretch in the regular season. Notre Dame on top. That GR there, games remaining for each team. That's important to note as you look at the points and where teams stand. So the Irish in a position where they want to be, but knowing that some other teams have an opportunity to pick up some more points behind them. Brown. Burst couldn't hang on to it. Back to the Tigers. Tight quarters for Clemson. Miller just looking for some options. Didn't see anything she liked for a while. Not sure she loved what that gave her either. Quick throw this time went right to Clemson. Harris, so calm, short. Goes back to the talented freshman. Gruff outside of the foot, leading ball. Harris on the penalty spot, gets the goal! Juju Harris snaps a 4-game scoreless streak and gives Clemson the lead.
Oh, this is going to be interesting, Jen, because it might be offside, but what a team goal this is from the Clemson Tigers. We said about the momentum shift after giving away a couple of set pieces, but phenomenal work from Juju Harris, regardless of what happens with this call. Oh no, clear onside, at least from that angle. Well behind it, even two players it looks like, just at the last second. And that ball right there comes off of the foot. Juju Harris is still onside. But most players at Juju Harris's age would try to go first time with their head, not really knowing where the pressure is, where defenders are around her. Instead, just so composed, know exactly where her defenders are, collects it so nicely, tucks it in.
Yeah, the goal is good. And Juju Harris' story has just given Clemson a lead for the first time in ACC play. It's the first time that they have not trailed in an ACC game.
Well, and you love those smiles from Juju Harris because, as you mentioned earlier in this game, really wanting to score goals. That's what she's been brought in to do. That's what we've known her to do. But just look at her positioning, always keeping herself onside. And right here, in that moment, so many players would try to go first time, maybe misconnect with it instead. Presence of mind just to be able to bring it down, cushion that first touch, and then slot it into that far post, even when she feels the pressure coming on her. Exceptional finish from the young player. And we spoke about these players, how important the freshmen have been for both of these teams. Well, Juju Harris puts her team ahead at home late in the second half.
Yeah, 72nd minute. And to be clear, Clemson did score first in their last match at SMU, but at some point they have trailed in every ACC game. And so now they find themselves in the position of getting that first goal late and seeing if they can close this one out. But look, both of these teams have been really good at recovering when they've conceded in matches. Two of the best in ACC play, in fact, from picking up points from losing position. So Wake looking for an immediate response here.
Really going to test Wake Forest. Going to need to be a little bit more direct. Start to send a few more players forward. And it's one of the things that we mentioned is said just coming into this second half with the amount of rotation on that back line for the Clemson Tigers, they have to test them.
And this is what we were talking about, Lori. So, meaning when you have trailed a match, what you do with that. Well, Clemson has done it better than just about anybody other than Notre Dame. They lead the conference, picking up 9 points in matches where they have trailed. And Wake Forest just behind Clemson. So they both know how to come back and pick up points. Demon Deacons will attempt to do that here. They have 2 wins when they have trailed in ACC play. Clemson, 2 wins and 2 draws. But it is the Tigers now with the lead. Lyles took it, carries it all the way up the field to Harris, the goal scorer. Juju Harris, wanted the brace. Bangs it off the crossbar instead.
She's certainly come alive, and so is the Clemson Tigers. Initially, you just see her run, keeps herself wide. It gives her the angle to then to be able to cut inside and receive this ball and still have a decent look on frame. It's really unfortunate to send that one off the crossbar. You talk about the response for Wake Forest trailing this game, but that's the exact response if you're Eddie Radwanski that you want from your team as well. Still driving forward, playing with a lot of confidence, getting numbers into the attack, and finding Juju Harris, who no doubt would be smiling and playing with a lot of confidence herself.
Clemson has been so efficient in this match. 8 shots, 6 of them on target, and they've hit the woodwork at least twice.
And what did Eddie Radwanski say going into the second half? What do you want to see more of? Goals.
Yeah, scoring.
You got him. Yeah.
Well, they're on the attack again, Clemson. The shot too strong. Up and over from Lyles.
Well, right before this, it was the run from Juju Harris. You could hear the ricochet off the crossbar, how much power is behind that. And look, I mean, what a look that is. But there's no spin on the ball. She just gets all of it. But right before that angle, she had kept herself wide, then came inside. Able to get a good first touch to set herself up. I don't know, Eddie Radwanski says that she's not 100%, but the first goal and then that attempt looks 100% to me.
Yeah, she's looking pretty good. And that was actually Clemson's 9th shot. Each team with 9 shots, although interestingly, Wake only with 1 of those on target compared to 6 for Clemson. Flanagan had been on the bench. She comes back in. Remember talking to Tony DeLuz earlier in the season, and Flanagan was out for the first 2 matches, and he said, just wait. Wait until she and Maxwell are both healthy. They are going to be a menace to other teams. They have been, although, to be fair, Clemson has done a really good job quieting them in this match. Wake gets the shot off at the near post. Holgerson hangs on, or Reason, excuse me.
Oh, we did hear Tony DeLuz mention how difficult this point in time in the season is for his team specifically. Now, you could put a lot of the colleges in that position, but with how tight this conference is, and we've talked about the challenges with that, of fine margins, but also just with the grind of school at Wake Forest as well, those 2 things start to become really challenging. It's not going to get any easier with the schedule that they have coming up, but really important for the Clemson Tigers in this moment. They'd be battling the same thing and make the argument that they need the points even more, keep themselves alive in postseason play.
Carla Small, really versatile freshman for the Tigers out of Hawaii, although played at IMG Academy before coming to Clemson. Involved in that last play. Miller Does like cutting it back into a right foot. Eventually finds its way to Maxwell. Well, Maxwell turned right around.
That's really summed up Wake Forest tonight in the attack. Haven't really been able to find much space to be able to use Flanagan. That's why we've seen her a few different times move out to the wings. She is a little bit more comfortable, but even in those 1v1 situations, you have to give Clemson, the young back line, a lot of credit. They've done really well defensively. Always had pressures we're seeing right here, and then coverage behind made it really challenging for Wake Forest to find combination or even just space to create more threats in the attack for themselves.
You know, Lori, I've just continued to get more and more impressed with this Clemson team as the season has gone on. I mean, to think about you and I calling their first ACC match against Stanford, who has proven themselves to be one of the best in the country. They trail 2-0 in that Stanford match right here at Riggs Field until the final 10 minutes of the match, and then come storming back with 8 freshmen on the field, 2 of them who score off corner kicks to tie at 2-2. So they come back to draw their first 2 ACC matches. The next 3 they lose. Now they've come back to win their last 2 ACC matches, looking to make it 3 in a row. If they can make that goal stand up by Juju Harris and pick this one up and get their first win against a ranked opponent this season. Still ways to go, though, although Wake Forest really having a hard time finding their way into it in the second half. Oh, that ball was headed for short. She was making a great run.
Well, to your point, Jen, I think we're starting to see some of the more experienced players as well for Clemson have more of an impact. That player, Lyles, who's just trying to play that through ball to short. Again, most of her career is one of those players that we've consistently pointed to on the Tigers, has been such an impact, especially in the attack. But this year, much more quiet to start, but Eddie Radwanski highlighted her as a player that's really come along, has been a good leader, and see, she's been one of those players that has taken control in this game, been a playmaker coming out of the midfield for them tonight.
Yeah, he said she covers more ground than anybody, works harder than anybody, and he said, you know, I tell her sometimes I want her to be more selfish. I want to see her dribble and take people on like I used to do as a player, but then he says, but I realize she does a lot more running than I did. Well, we have just a moment here. Let's give you a look at our all-state play of the match. What do we got? I'm guessing it might be the goal.
Oh, and Wake Forest will be just disappointed in this marking as well, because they got 3 players in really good positions defensively inside the box, but no one's touched tight. That has to be the rule of thumb. If there's a loose player, somebody's got to get a hold of it. And just with the quality of Juju Harris, her ability to take that down to set her up with that first touch, and then just a clinical finish on the ground, far post. That's the difference so far.
Harris going to the bench for the time being. Her team in the lead, 1-0. Kassenfeld returning to the field for the Tigers, along with Reese Klein in the back line. Good to see Klein back out there, because she was shaken up earlier. Wake looking for the equalizer, heads it down and out, just a bit wide. Hannah Johnson back out on the field, and Flanagan trying to make something happen.
Oh, this is something they've gotten away from, is really haven't been able to find Scythe in the wide areas. Serve balls in, and this is typically where they are so dangerous. Flanagan, you can see with her aerial ability to get up, doesn't miss by much, but Reason does a good job of just making sure she gets herself over, keeps her feet moving.
Yeah, you would think Lori Scythe has to be, or Wake would like her to be, part of the equation here as they are chasing and pressing, trying to find this game-tying goal. Some good confidence on the ball right there. That's what you were talking about, that leadership from Lyles. He's so calm and composed. Bruff is waiting for someone to come challenge for the ball, but then winds up giving it away. Time running out on the Demon Deacons. Just one loss in conference play. They started winning their first 3, were unbeaten in their first 4 in the ACC, but have run into a skid here. Loss at NC State, a draw against Louisville, and a game they led for the majority, and now trailing Clemson with 7:20 to go. Tigers just making it very difficult for Wake Forest to find a footing in this second half. Harris, the goal scorer, off at the moment. Clemson trying to close out their home campaign at Riggs Field with a victory. Have not been able to win in conference play yet this season. They go on the road for their final 2 matches. Flanagan. Challenge advantage played. Scythe. 8 assists, amongst the best in the ACC. This one, though, out of play. Clemson Tigers hitting the road for their final 2, as we've talked about. They will play at Boston College and then go to Duke to finish things up. Duke currently still ranked, so that should be a challenging finish to the season. Who knows? Tigers could be playing for quite a bit in that final match, as they are tonight, chasing NCAA eligibility, and maybe, if they can get some favorable results and other matches as well, an opportunity to get to that ACC tournament. A couple ways to go, though, to make that top 6, but 3 points tonight sure helps. Wake Forest searching. Scythe penned in. This goes out, and Clemson did touch it last, so it's a Wake corner.
I was just about to make the comment that Clemson has done really well defensively, especially in the wide areas. That's been a difference in the second half. They've dropped deep, got a couple of players around ball carriers.
Here comes the corner, great opportunity, headed, and still in play in the box. Maxwell will fight her way to the ball. Wood cuts it. Tigers getting a goal from Juju Harris, 72nd minute of this match. Only score so far. Demon Deacons have only been shut out in conference play once. That was a 0-0 draw at Boston College, and in fact, that's the only time they've been shut out all season. 4 minutes to try to find a goal here at Clemson tonight. DiNatale had it blocked. You'd expect Wake gambling now, a lot of numbers in the box, but they gotta get the ball in front of the goal to make it count. Demon Deacons do have an extra game to play with. They still have 3 remaining after tonight. They will have Pitt come to Spry Stadium along with number 1 Notre Dame, and then travel to Florida State. We'll have that one for you on ACC Network on the final day of the regular season. What a match that could be for many reasons, as Florida State continuing to trail tonight. Stanford visiting Tallahassee, and in fact, Florida State has yet to score, and the Seminoles have a streak that dates back several years, as I recall. They have scored in every match. And that's in jeopardy as well. Ball bounces to Reason.
Oh, it's only 3 minutes left to go, but Clemson just need to make sure that they don't keep dropping back so deep that they don't get pressure on that type of service. You can see a bit unsure at the last second if Reason was going to come out and catch it, or as we saw, just lets it bounce and keep control of it.
No harm, no foul, as you might say, at least not yet, but you hope those little moments of giving the ball back to Wake, like Clemson just did, don't come back to haunt you. Everybody being pushed up. Amaral at midfield for Wake Forest. Demon Deacons are going to bring it now. Put it in the box. Flicked back. Oh, what a move and a shot! Big save from Reason as Brooke Miller really cranked one.
Oh, they're serving balls in now, trying to take their chances. Miller's their left back. Just tries to create just enough separation. We had a really good angle on it initially from the shot. It was just going to be such a tough angle to get past Reason. She opted to go with her left foot. The 2 defenders once again from Clemson, and that's the point I was trying to make, and this is where they've really grown, is stepping up, getting much more tight defensively, making things predictable through themselves, and that's the learning that they've had to do throughout this season.
Wood. Brown. Ball keeps getting blocked, but right back to Wake Forest. Scythe goes down. And under a minute to play now. Demon Deacons looking for some last-minute drama at Riggs Field. Johnson got it in the air, but put it out of play.
And Reason shouldn't have any willingness to put this back into play very quickly. Just take her time as much as she can, get everybody up as we're seeing, and go as long as possible and see this game out and manage it.
Clemson looking for their first shutout in ACC play and their first win against a ranked opponent since the 2023 NCAA tournament. They are 15 seconds away. Tigers have really stymied this Wake Forest team tonight, ranked number 17 in the country, but Clemson shutting them out. They await the final whistle, and now they get it. Big win for Eddie Radwanski's Tigers.
Huge win. And they know it at home.